Is there a place in the world that really calls to you? Somewhere that you just know you have to go? And maybe it's been a place that's called you since childhood. Maybe it's been a place that's only been calling you in the last couple of months. But it feels like your whole body comes alive with the thought of going to this place. So this is what I'm going to talk about in today's video. I'm Jacquelyn Atkins. Welcome to my channel. And for those of you who have been following me over the last 4 months, you will notice a little difference with this. One, I'm not on a sacred site somewhere in Europe with my hair flying around in the wind, my camera wobbling, people all around me. No, in fact, you know what? That was so much easier than finding a place in this house where I'm house sitting that's suitable to create a video, getting the lighting right, getting the camera right. It's so much easier when I just had it on my selfie stick. But I'm sure this will be more comfortable for your journey. So as I mentioned, I am house sitting. I do have 2 dogs and a cat in this room with me right now. So you may hear cat noises or dog noises throughout the video, but this is all a part of me walking the land right now. So I love this topic because it's who I am. I am nomadic at heart. And I would say since I was 22, I've had the call of the land all around the world. I think before that, I felt fairly stable. Well, until 16, when I had to move out from home because my mother had moved away. But up until then, I was quite stable. I was very Taurian. I'm a Taurus. You know, Taurians like stability. But I'm not a typical Taurus because I do love to be nomadic. And when I go to Europe, just like I did for the 4 months there, and I'm traveling around to different sites and being activated and meeting new people, I'm alive. I love it so much. And yet, when I came back to Australia this time, I knew I had to come back. I felt so sad to leave, but I knew I had to come back here because I knew there was something for me in the land here. And on my first day back at Byron Bay, and I was on the beach, and I saw the earth here. I saw the feminine in the earth here as like this old crone just going, "Welcome home, Jacquelyn." Like, come here, sit in my arms, be held. And it felt such a different energy to when I'm traveling across Europe and the UK, and I'm going to these sites and I'm just getting activated and activated and activated. And it's like there wasn't a lot of time for integration because I was moving on to the next one. And if you watch those videos I created over that period, you will understand why. And so it was important for me to come back here and to ground in this land and to be able to put more energy and more love into my business to create new offerings because I was having the ideas while I was away, but I didn't have the time to do it. However, something is different this time. In the past, I have had a base. I have had a place I was renting, just somewhere to go where all my things were, and I could settle down and I would stay there for the 8 months until I returned to Europe. But this year, I knew I didn't want that. I knew just before I went away, I thought, when I come back, I feel like I want to house sit. And while I was away, that came through really strongly. And then I was offered a house sit, this one I'm doing now, which is in Lake Macquarie, a couple of hours north of Sydney. And I was offered it for 5 weeks and it felt perfect. And I thought, I have no idea why I'm going there, because I have history here. This particular suburb, Warners Bay, that I'm in, is where I was working as a physiotherapist in a gym when I was 28 after returning from traveling and being in England for most of my 20s. And I met my husband, Michael, who's a chiropractor here. And so there's a lot of history for me in this area. And my first 2 children were born here. My second child, Heidi, was born in the next suburb in the Bath, in the house we were renting there. And so there is a lot of history here for me. My mum is nearby in an aged care facility. This is why I've come here to spend time with her. But it's so interesting that this opportunity came up to rent this place, to house sit this place and pet sit. And there's all of this stuff to do with my past, to do with my base chakra, to do with my family. My brother is an hour away. I've got cousins here, an aunt here. So I'm going back into the family energy as well as this energy of the place where I got married. Around the corner is the hairdresser who did my hair for my wedding, and that was in, I don't know when I got married, 1996. So all of that is here. But the land called me. The land called me back here. I'm getting such a ringing in my right ear as I'm saying that. And this is how I'm choosing to spend my life now. Now, to be honest, I have done this for the past 22 years probably. So even when I had 3 children at home, I was still able to travel a little bit, to go where the land was calling me. And dear Michael and I were married for 11 years, but he stayed there as the rock for the kids. And I did this as I was called. Maybe it was for 3 weeks a year, but I did it. And now none of my children are at home, and I have this freedom to do this. And so I am really honoring the call of the land. So let me go back. That's enough talking about me. Let's talk about the topic of the video, shall we? The land holds codes. Every place on the land holds a different frequency. That frequency is created through the history of the land, through the people who've lived on the land, died on the land, and now make up the land. But it's also older than that. That history can go back to when the star beings were more evident on the planet here. Who knows who has been here? But all of the energy is held in the land at certain places. And because so many sacred sites have had people gathering with intention, they can hold a stronger energy. But all land holds an energy, and it calls you. So when you are called somewhere, I truly believe that it's because that land has a gift for you, and you have something for that land. There's an exchange that goes on between your energy and the energy held within the site or the particular location that you're being called to. And I now believe this, not simply when I'm traveling, but even in my day-to-day life. So if I think, okay, for example, I've been searching for an organic shop around here. I live in an area where every second shop is an organic shop. So I'm here and I'm trying to find an organic shop. And not much luck so far. But I know that if I go closer into town in Newcastle, I can find one. So if I choose to do that, it's not just the organic shop that's calling me. It's the land there. Every time you go to a new place, you are connecting with the land. You are exchanging energy with the land. And when you start to look at it that way, you realize that there is no coincidence. That the reason there isn't an organic shop here and there is one in closer to Newcastle is because it's important for me to go there. Energetically, I'm being led there. And I may never know the reason for it, and you don't have to know. But often you feel it. You feel, I need to go there. And following that calling through life, following the calling of the land, as much as you're able to, obviously, but it is vital for your own evolution. Maybe not going to the organic shop, that's just very small. But when you are called to different sites, like I have been called back to southern France for so many times, year after year. And even with creating my retreats each year, this year I went to Greece thinking, just knowing I have to hold a retreat in Greece. And so I went there this year knowing that, and I received so much activation as well as being able to prepare for the retreat I will hold there next year. When I returned home, or just before I returned home, I was chatting to my son, who was over traveling with me for 10 days in Italy. And he and his partner then went on to Malta. And I was talking to him and he was saying Malta was his favorite place. And then I went, Malta. And so it was like, oh, I feel like maybe I have to go to Malta. And then I was looking up what ancient sites there are in Greece and that area aligned with the sun at the solstice time, because I wanted to hold a retreat somewhere where that alignment was happening. And I go on and search, oh, Malta, there's one in Malta. And so within a couple of hours, I had booked this lovely big house, an Airbnb house, to facilitate a mystery school there with the ladies who came with me to Provence last year and Assisi this year, to go to Malta next year. And all of them, when I said, how about Malta, were like, yes. And so this was just me following the land. I haven't been to Malta. I have no idea what it holds for me. But the last year or two, it has been there. And then my son was just that little piece that went, okay, let's do it. So I'm following that call. It's a feeling, it's a knowing. So I am really interested to know where on the earth has called you. And maybe you've been, and maybe you went and you still didn't realize why you were there. But maybe it ended up being quite a pivotal moment in your life. Maybe things shifted after you moved on from there. Your life changed in some way. So share with me, have there been places like that? And are there places that you are yet to go? But you know deep within your being that you are called there. And there's the other side of that too. There are places where you just have no interest in going. And they can be really popular places. And one of those places for me is India. So many people are called to India. I have no calling to India. I'm very aware that I've had incarnations in India, but this one, I have no calling at this stage to go to India. It doesn't mean that that will change, but that's just an example. Most of my calling truly is to Europe and sites in Europe at this point. I have traveled quite a bit in Southeast Asia. I've traveled in Africa. I have yet to go to South America. And at that time, when I was 28 and I came back here and actually met Michael, at that time I was planning a trip to South America and it didn't happen. And actually that calling isn't so strong for me anymore. So it's a fascinating way to look at where you're called. And it might be just you're called to go somewhere for a vacation, but it actually is that same thing of having this exchange with the land. So I hope that's just planted some seeds, just got you thinking about those places on earth where the earth is calling your energy. I did have another little insight about this. I'll just give a little bit of information here because this came through on the priestess call. I have a group who are doing their Rose Priestess initiations with me this year. And we had our first call for this initiation we've just started last week. And what I was talking about there that came through very strongly with a realization I had last week is that perhaps it is the water in the land that's calling you, the sacred water that's held deep in the land. And perhaps it's in the water within your body that's responding to that call. And perhaps the exchange is the water, exchanging the activation, the information. There's more to explore there. And I know there's some wonderful work around water. Veda Austin's doing incredible work. There's the work of Emoto. There's so much work there. And there is a lot more to discover. And yeah, that idea, that thought just came through that perhaps it's the waters calling, the sacred water deep within the earth calling, and the waters in our body responding. So I'll leave that with you as well. I don't have the answers. I'm just sharing my insights, my observations, and so I love to hear yours in return. So if you want to share any place that you're drawn or just respond to what I'm sharing with you, please do leave a comment. And I would also appreciate, I never remember to say this, and maybe it's not important, but if you do like this content, I do appreciate a like. I'm really grateful. And apparently it helps the algorithm. I think it's more energetic actually, but we will play that game as well. Thank you for joining me for this video, and I will be recording regular videos even though I'm back in Australia, because I am still following the call of the land, and I'm sure the land will teach me even here, even though I'm not in those European sacred sites. So much love to you. See you next time.